Why do we think that helping people is good and hurting people is bad? Why do we see philanthropists as heroes and school shooters as monsters? What is the standard by which we judge the negative or positive value of any action? Or for that matter, what do we care about our actions at all? Today, I would like to delve into the backbone of our moral beliefs in order to demonstrate that they are necessarily linked to desire. The implications of this fact will become evident. It is safe to say that when people act, they act on the basis of reasons. That is true whether an action is moral or not. If you learned that someone went to the supermarket, you would assume that they did so for some reason. Maybe they wanted to buy their weekly supply of food, or maybe they just wanted to rob the place and get money. In any case, to think that someone would go to the supermarket for no reason at all would be baffling. And the same goes for our moral language. If I say physical assault is wrong, you would assume that I have some sort of reason to make that statement. For example, maybe I think that assault is wrong because it causes suffering. And again, it would be very baffling if I were to say that physical assault or any other action is wrong for no reason at all. From this, it becomes clear that the concept of reasons is integral to the function of moral language, or any language that deals with the evaluation of actions. So let's examine the structure of reasons. How do reasons work? Well, usually we say something along the lines of I did A because of B, where A is an action and B is the outcome of that action. A good example would be the following. I bought food because I want to eat. If we break it down, we have the action, which is the buying of the food, and we have the desired outcome, which is the eating. The same goes for moral arguments. Assault is wrong because it causes suffering. Assault is obviously the action, and the outcome of the action is the suffering. But what's interesting here is the use of the word wrong. What do we mean when we say that an outcome is wrong or right? When we boil it down, it just means that an outcome is either desirable or undesirable. Assault is wrong because it causes suffering. But why is causing suffering wrong? Well, if we are being honest, we just don't desire suffering. And because we don't like suffering, we immediately associate it with the word wrong. This has really important implications, because as we can see, every time we give a reason to do something, we are essentially suggesting an action based on the result. But in order for our proposed action to make any sort of sense, we have to desire the result. Why do I give money to a homeless person? Because I have the desire to give help to those who need it. Why do I believe that stealing is wrong? Because I desire to live under conditions which do not include stealing and its implications. Unless there is some sort of desire that is satisfied by my action, then the reasoning behind it makes no sense. Imagine if I said, I am going to steal money from my neighbor because I desire to be a law-abiding citizen. This is nonsensical, because my desire is completely antithetical to the outcome that I am getting from the action. What we can draw from these conclusions is that morality is by definition a subjective matter. Only subjects can desire, and without desired outcomes, you cannot construct any reason to do anything. If we did not desire to be just, then there would be no point in arguing for justice. If we did not desire freedom, then there would be no point in arguing against oppression. All of these moral issues make no sense unless one desires certain outcomes. And since all moral discourse ends with our desired outcomes, then there is simply no way to disprove one's moral beliefs unless you share the same desired outcomes. And more importantly, there is no such thing as a stance-independent moral truth, because behind every evaluative claim there is a desire, and desires are always dependent upon the subject that has them. You cannot say that some outcome is objectively desirable. It makes no sense as a term. Desirable is a kind of thing that happens to subjects. You can't say something is desirable objectively. Maybe something can be desirable universally, which would mean that everyone wants the same thing. And sure, that's a very optimistic and very good scenario, because we would have moral discussions with common ground. But to conflate that with objectivity is a big mistake, because there is no such thing as a stance-independent desired outcome. And so there is no such thing as a stance-independent, objective morality.